Hey guys, I am Game Advisor and welcome back to another Myth of Empires video. Today we're going to be discussing a lot of the things that may not be initially intuitive to you within Myth of Empires. These are things that are going to be usually very important to know and things that will help you a lot along the way when you're just getting started. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing you want to know is, how do you level up? In order to level up, you can do your quests on the side, but you can also simply do pretty much anything in the game. Crafting, gathering, hunting, and taking out bandits as well as enemy players is going to be your primary way of gaining XP as you progress towards the later stages. You also have two different XP systems within Myth of Empires. The first is your character level. This is going to be what you see up here in the top left corner of the screen. The way that you raise this is the one where you simply just do anything at all. You could be gathering a plant, like I said, or you could be hunting something down. All of it will grant you XP towards your character level. Now, in order to see how much XP you need to progress to the following level, so let's say you're level 10 and you want to get to level 11, you're going to go ahead and open up your character window, and on the right side, you're going to see a little bar that tells you how much XP you need. Now, you'll notice every time you level up your character, you tend to get some kind of bonus point in some way. These bonus points can be different things. The first option we have is our attribute points. These attribute points are essentially a multiplier for a separate skill tree that doesn't apply to your character level. So if you go up to the top menu and you look at your expertise, you can actually go and hit the little plus button at the bottom of one of these trees. So let's say you want to upgrade your woodcutting or your mining, you would want to go into your fortitude, go down to woodcutting and mining on the top left. Once you've selected that, you'll then go ahead and hit the plus button next to expertise in order to increase the amount of XP you gain within that specific skill tree. Now, as your skill trees level up, you will receive a passive bonus towards doing whatever it's related to. So once again, using woodcutting as the example here, if I level that up, say to level 200, which really is pretty quick to do, you'll then start to get a percentage increase of resources gathered whenever you're doing woodcutting. Now, this applies to all other skill trees, everything from one-handed swordsmanship to woodcutting to mining to medicine and cooking to building. All of it. Once you have all 5 points of expertise in a specific skill tree, you will then multiply that XP by 6 times. That means you'll be leveling that specific tree 6 times faster than you would be otherwise. This is extremely important in Myth of Empires as it's how you're going to level each tree and create a more powerful character for you to play. Now, it's also worth mentioning you can respec these points. You get 5 free respecs per week, and then it starts to cost a small amount of copper coins. This isn't really too big of a cost either, so don't worry too much about needing to respec. As long as you're not doing it every 5 minutes, you really don't need to worry. If, say, you're going out on a big woodcutting run and you know you're going to be doing it for a few hours, go ahead and move those points over into woodcutting and then move them back whenever you're done in a couple of hours. Now, if you're just going out to, say, get 2 or 3 trees, it probably wouldn't be worth doing. But once again, as long as you're doing something for more than 5 minutes, it's worth moving those expertise points over as it's going to quickly accumulate and increase that XP much faster. If you didn't already know this, since we're talking about XP, you need to be level 16 to go over to the PvP servers. You may ask yourself, what is even the point of going to a PvP server? Well, first off, it's fun, but aside from that, the most important part is you get more resources when gathering on a PvP server, and it is a very significant amount. I want to say it's roughly 30 to 40% increased XP because of the fact that you're gathering more resources, as well as a tiny XP multiplier simply for being on that server. In order to transfer to the server, you're going to have to go and talk to a little guy in a town. There are some towns that have him and some that don't. Do look for the friendly ones. It's hard to point out exactly where they are on the map, so you'll have to be doing a little bit of exploration on your own, but just know when you do find him, you talk to him and he'll give you the chance to move over to a different server. This does cost copper coins, so also keep that in mind as you don't want to bring too many items as it costs more the more you're carrying. Now, I don't have time to cover everything today, but I do want to mention a few quick additions. First off, if you're looking for bronze or iron ore, this is what it looks like. Bronze ore is going to have this little goldish color in it. Whenever you're mining it, you'll get bronze. Iron is going to be a darkish gray color. You'll know it when you see it. Again, these are what they look like. If you're trying to get hardwood, there are specific trees that are tier 2 that will drop significantly more hardwood. This also applies to other things as well as mining. If you're trying to find specific nodes and you don't know what they look like, what you can do is take a special potion that will highlight each one of those things with a little white symbol saying, hey, this is a tier 2 tree, and then you'll know what they look like so you can farm them in the future. There's really no need to spam this, but it is something important to note. Kind of jumping backwards a little bit here, but we do need to also mention in that expertise tree, once you reach certain thresholds, you're able to put points in order to get bonuses. For an example, just using woodcutting again as here, as it's just the most generic one I can think of. If you get that first point, I think it's at level 225, you can put it in, it might be 150, but when you put it in, you get 20% increased branches, as well as bark and many other things. This also applies as you can get a 50% buff in total, and then you can start to get it for the higher tier materials, reducing the amount of time you have to gather and leveling that skill faster, because you get XP in this game, in case you didn't already know, based on the number of items and which items you gather. Now, if you've ever been struggling to level and you happen to have a guild banner down, all you need to do is go to that big stone lantern, go to the shrines tab, and make sure you apply the XP multiplier. This is going to be up to a double XP, and even more so if you buy both of them, as when you level up that guild banner or lantern, whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. But whenever you level up that guild lantern, it's going to increase the bonus you receive from buying those blessings. You can buy them once per day, and if you're PST, it's going to reset at 4 p.m. each day. For my UK viewers, I don't really know what to tell you. I'm not on UK time, so do your best to just look up what time it is and figure out the difference. Either way, it's good to note that it resets in the evening for most Western players versus the Eastern players, it resets at midnight. Now, real quick, I'm just going to give you the base examples of what tools do when gathering different things. Axes can be used to gather animals, but they're bad at it. They're made for gathering trees. They can also be used to gather stone if you're specifically desiring rubble. Otherwise, focus on only using them on the trees. Hammers are for rocks, ores, and all other types of minerals such as salt. Knives are going to be for when you're skinning animals, and the sickle, which is probably one of the most important tools early game when you're trying to level and when you need a lot of rope, is going to help you gather bushes quicker at a humongously increased speed. Now, the higher tier your tools are, the reduced effect they're going to have if you're not proficient in them. So just to give you an example here, let's say you're mining a rock, right? And you have a bone hammer, but you only have level 1 mining. You're not going to get the full effect of that bone hammer, or if it's bronze or if it's iron, you can still use them. However, if you only have level 1 in mining, but your character level is high enough to equip it, you're still stuck in a situation where you're not going to get that much of a gain compared to just using the stone tools. This scales all the way up to the endgame tools as well as weapons and armor. So if you're not proficient in heavy armor and you put on really high level heavy armor, you're not going to get nearly as much of a benefit as somebody who's actually gone ahead and spent the time to grind out those skill levels. This is again why your expertise becomes incredibly important. Now, I know there's a lot to talk about in MOE, so we're going to be making more videos on this. If you want to see more, please subscribe down below, like the video, and I thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Game Advisor, and I'll see you next time.